Hello, and happy Thursday, July 24th, 2025. I am Manila Chan. That over there is Ted Rall. You are tuned into the Ted Manila Information Show, or TMI Show for short, because obviously we bring you way too much information. We are live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, so please be sure to hit the like and the follow button, the subscribe button, wherever you're consuming this content. It goes a long way. That little action goes a long way in helping this little show continue to grow. So on today's show, we're going to talk about a fairly spicy topic, and that is this new burgeoning whites-only, I guess, Ted, we can call it planned development, planned community in
intentional
Arkansas.
Community, I think, is what lefties would call such a thing.
Intentional community.
Yeah, an intentional community used to be like was the fancy word for like a commune, but basically it's a private town.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's a settlement at the very least. That's whites only out in the Ozarks down in Arkansas. So we'll talk about that. And so far, it apparently seems to be perfectly legal. And we'll explain why. You can imagine how interesting this conversation can go, especially since we're going to add producer Robbie. It can get spicy. Then we'll talk about how Barack Obama is under scrutiny for his role in the 2016, now debunked Russiagate hoax. Tulsi Gabbard lighting him up yesterday. Also, Ted's degree is now no longer toilet paper. I think we're not sure if Trump.
Well, I don't know
accreditation.
I don't know if accreditation has been restored yet as a result of the extreme wussification that we're going to talk about.
That's right. So something going on with Colombia shelling out lots of money and caving to the Israel lobby, I think, is basically the the summary of that story. Then the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee saying transgender, and by this I mean primarily male to female transgender athletes, are no longer allowed to compete in the upcoming 28 Olympics down in Los Angeles. We'll get you the details on that. And lastly,
that's going to be basically that's going to help me in my decathlon trials a lot. I was very worried about it.
Wait, you can't though. You can't just grow your hair long and put on lipstick and compete in the women's the women's
I was so confused that I was worried that big muscular dudes could then become women and then back to men again and then somehow defeat me.
We'll talk about that too. I didn't know that Ted had Olympic dreams. And then, of course, last but not least, the House subcommittee on Wednesday passed this motion to subpoena President Clinton and his wife Hillary Clinton over their ties to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And we know, Ted, Bill had a penchant for younger women, but Monica Lewinsky was at least over 18.
She was legal. I believe she was 20 or 21 when all that happened. Mm-hmm.
Still very young, but legal. So we'll get you the details on that. So with that, let's jaws it and get into the spicy talk. We're coming in hot this morning.
We're not even going to talk about what we talked about between the three of us before we went on the air. You want a white nation? Build a white town. That's what Eric Orwell, not to be confused with George Orwell, says in a video posted on social media. We're doing it. As the Arkansas sun beats down, dozens of dudes are hammering posts into the earth, building a fence to mark out the boundary. Over the last year and a half, in the hills and woods of the Ozarks, this group has been working to level the land, lay roads, build cabins. There are wells, a community center. There's already a school, and kids are already doing their work. The settlement sprawls over 160 acres. They've called it Return to the Land, or RTTL. RTTL founders say it's an intentional community based around shared ancestry. Alert, alert, alert. Writing on X, they're more straightforward. We started a whites-only community. About 40 people, all whites, no Jews, live there, and hundreds more from all around the world. No gays. From all around the world. Oh, at least there probably are gays. They're just like buttoning it up.
They're closeted. No, I don't know. The rules of this group say that no gays. You have to be straight, cis,
the
white.
The rules of the Catholic Church say that too. But okay, anyway. Around 40 people live there, and hundreds more from all around the world have paid to join up. Orwell is the leader of RTTL. Blonde and blue-eyed, because, what else would he be? He says he's building a fortress for the white race, and he's expanding these communities across the Midwest to states like Missouri. RTTL is at the vanguard of an ethno-nationalist movement organizing on the internet. They want to define countries by ethnicity, but they nevertheless want to they have international ties. There are lots of Nazi references on their Telegram chat. Peter Cesare has posted the phrase 1488. 14 refers to the 14 words, a white supremacist slogan, and H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. We can't do this in Cyrillic. So 88 means HH, which means Heil Hitler. He says that is a funny comment, a throwback. Orwell.
So funny.
It's so funny. Orwell in his videos has talked about the coming of a second Hitler, saying that Hitler 2.0 won't get here unless people do the work. Well, there I am, honestly. I'm addressing the sentiments of my audience. Hitler is a very controversial historical figure. You think? I think the mainstream view is one-sided. It's informed by World War II propaganda, but also the contrary position that Hitler did nothing wrong, that many people online say that's also a one-sided view. Mm-hmm. I think all historical figures are complex, multidimensional. And look, I would agree with you. But when I say you're going to have to wait for that new Hitler to arise, I'm not saying you're going to have to wait for a new person to start a new Holocaust. I'm saying that you're going to have to wait for a charismatic leader who's going to advocate for your interests, because that's how a lot of people see Hitler. Orwell insists what he's doing is entirely legal. because he's built the RTTL community in Arkansas as a private club and therefore is exempt from civil rights legislation. But the group has invested tens of thousands of dollars just to be sure on legal research, and it thinks that it's created a viable framework that can be cut and pasted to other communities in the future, both in the United States and around the world. 3 other settlements are already underway right now in the Midwest, all part of what Orwell sees as a path to power. Although I'm not really sure that, isolating yourselves is really, seriously, as someone who studied the rise of Hitler in Nazi Germany in the 1920s and 30s extensively and has bookshelves groaning with books on this topic, that's not what happened there, right? I mean, Hitler seized power by becoming a mainstream parliamentary politician. He was elected, with about 37% of the vote in 1933. That's not, he didn't take his favorite whiteys and hang out
like a commune
in the middle of rural Bavaria, right? I mean, he
ran for public office locally and rose.
Yeah. Well, no, he didn't run for local office. No, he didn't. No.
He was in the, what do they call it?
The Reichstag? No, he wasn't. Mm-mm. No, Hitler didn't run. Hitler was a spokesperson for the National Socialist Party, and they had a broad-based.
He was a political figure.
He was basically, the party already existed. It was founded in the ashes of World War I think 1919 or 1920. And then there are already a few dozen members when Hitler, who was basically homeless and selling pencils on the street to survive, when he came across this party, and he was giving speeches in local parks, and he impressed members of what was the NSDAP, and they invited him to join, and they were like, this guy really knows how to talk. And so he joined the party. He was, I forget what party membership badge he was, something like 42 or something. And then he basically became the guy. He was the guy you send out to raise hell. He was kind of a Donald Trump figure in that, he was the top job is the only job he ever ran for. I think a good comparison would be someone like Pat Buchanan. Pat Buchanan always spoke. He was a spokesperson for his
at all the events, at all the Hey, that's a teepee. That's social. That's a reappropriation of Native American. Anyway, so these guys, among some of their core beliefs is that modern American society doesn't align with how they see how it, doesn't see how modern American society doesn't align with how they think the real country should be run, and that all this DEI, all the the affirmative action, all of this stuff, all of the equality has turned the rest of the country who are non-white against white people, and they believe in the coming white genocide by way of immigration, by way of the rhetoric in mainstream media
of the whites, not by the whites, just to be clear here.
Of the whites, yes, to be clear. They believe that their whiteness, their white ethnicity, their white culture, their white whatever is being erased.
Or diluted by immigration and by miscegenation.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, they think that basically the U.S. is a country that was founded by white Europeans and has lost, and that focus is being erased by foreign and domestic influence. We won't talk about all the blacks that those white Europeans brought with them, or all the Native Americans,
or all the natives they slaughtered,
or who lived here before, and some of whom managed to survive. We won't talk about any of that. Or all the French trappers, or all the the Mayans.
History only counts when the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. That's when America.
And they found people there by their own account, So, but who were not white European. But anyway, the point is that obviously there's no denying that the dominant culture the British colonies, and then in the post-revolutionary independent government was run by white Europeans, and still is. I mean, really, if you don't believe me, just look at a joint session of Congress. Like when the camera pans around. Yeah, most of those faces are white dudes, right? And probably most of them are Protestant. So,
Sure.
I mean, that's still a very, it's a huge thing. But their numbers have dropped, and these people,
So
these ethno-nationalists
guy,
are upset about that.
Ted, this Orwell guy, do you think he has a little bit of like the Jonestown vibe going on here? Because I kind of do.
Yeah,
Because
I do.
I feel
Although
like
obviously
little
from the opposite side of the political spectrum, because
yes,
Jim Jones was a big leftist.
Socialist.
He was a communist, really.
So we don't know. I mean, we can glean some of their political leanings here. I think, Ted. I think it's safe to say, but
and the appeal of getting a bunch of your people and moving back to the land and living in it looks like a beautiful, clean place. Is that I think most people who've lived in cities can see the appeal of that. I mean, taking racism.
So I can actually respect some of this homesteading idea, like having your goats and your little farms.
We used to have, like, in my friends in New York, we used to all have what we called the dream, and the dream was we all lived in New York, paying exorbitant rents for tiny apartments and living in squalor. Because interesting people live in New York. We wanted to be around other interesting people. And we were always like, if we could all agree to just pack up to the same little cheap town, then we wouldn't have to live in New York, and we'd have the interesting people. I think these people, they're doing their version of that. Now, legally, I think they're completely protected by the by the U.S. Constitution, which you have the right of free association in the United States. So civil rights laws don't apply to private property. On the other hand, there is one exception. I'd be really curious to know what the Supreme Court would have to say if anybody, let's say a black person tried to join this commune, and it's a commune, and basically said, it's a commune. It's like if they tried and they were rejected, would they have a case? I mean, these days, until fairly recently, private clubs, country clubs, golf clubs often had like a no Jews, no blacks policy until very recently. In some cases until like 20 years ago. And that's now illegal. Or I don't know if it's illegal or if it's just tacitly just like it's just not okay anymore.
I don't know. But I mean, I think there are some, I don't know Arkansas real estate law or any real law. I mean, Huckabee Sanders, isn't she the governor now? I feel like
yes.
this is gonna head to her desk, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and I have experience in California real estate law.
What's there to legislate? I mean, they're on private land. Like if I have a farm,
but they're selling off the land. They're selling off parcels to members.
If I have 160 acres of land in the middle of nowhere,
which is not that much, by the way,
and then I sell parcels, and I say I'm only going to sell to cartoonists who have gray cats. I can do that. I mean, it's my land. I can do whatever the fuck I want on it. It's private property.
One question I have for these folks is, where are they going to get their Mexican food or Chinese food fix?
Well, they obviously don't have a fix. They don't have that fix.
You don't think so?
They do not have that fix. These people have a white bread, a Wonder Bread fix.
So the hamburgers and hot dogs and milk.
Squirrel, possum, raccoon. I mean,
Okay.
you miss it. Now, here's the thing. Both of y'all are Yankees. Neither one of y'all have a damn clue about what it's like living in the South. The South has really good cuisine. There's a reason why Waffle House is a Southern thing. So to think though, you can't have good food unless you import a bunch of beaners from across the river.
Arkansas.
I mean, that's not right.
I've been to Arkansas. The food there is not very good, gotta say.
I thought a lot of what I consider Southern cuisine is Black Southern cuisine.
That's
where they get it from, Manila?
Well, they were forced into eating what they ate because they were slaves.
Well, it's because they got taught how to cook by the whites who enslaved them. So there's that. So a nice little circular argument to wrap your mind around. No, but I'll tell you what, though. I mean, honestly, I mean, if you want to have some good eating, grilled possum is fantastic. Squirrel rice, squirrel and gravy, grilled squirrel,
I've actually heard
rabbit.
of that.
I'm not worried about their diet. I mean, I guess the question here is,
Hey, y'all brought it up.
should anyone? Well, I didn't bring it up. So
I'm just curious because it's not like these people came from a city, right? They came from elsewhere and they all decided to settle in this commune. So I imagine they've all at one point in their lives, at one point or another, had Chinese food, had Mexican food. I mean, I imagine they've eaten other foods.
Who cares?
Probably, but
So I'm
I
just
mean,
curious,
and I'm
like,
sure if
what-
they really want to make Mexican food, they can make Mexican food. It's not that complicated. I guess my question here is, look, here's the thing. I think most people watching this show and listening to this show today are going to take offense, and they're going to just say, this land is our land. This land is for you and me. With some exceptions may apply, isn't cool. And that it's anti-American to have any place where you say, you can't, that like are whites only, or for that matter, that would be blacks only or whatever. But like this harkens back to, this is a community that's based on racism, exclusion, and hatred. And that's going to cause a lot of people to be upset. I have to admit, Manila, you said this before the show, and I'm going to just agree with you. I don't really care. I mean, of course, I'm a white guy, so maybe it's, that's why I don't care. But I'm not going to move there either. I don't care because it's like, what people want to do on their private property doesn't affect anyone else. So, I mean, you guys want to go and do you guys go and do you. We won't miss you. Bye.
Yeah, if you want to exclude yourself from the rest of society, like, okay, go. All right, that's fine. I personally, I mean, I'm of two minds because, as you just said, Ted, generally, I don't care. You go, do you. If you be gay, if you be trans, if you whatever, I'm not going to go be gay. I'm not going to go be trans. I'm not going to go be Asian supremacist either. You go do your thing. I'll do mine. That's fine. As long as you don't impede on, my personal liberties, my personal rights, my human rights, I really don't care. Don't cram what you're doing down my throat.
It's a cult.
Really
It's like those Mormon polygamous cults who live out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, Ted, one couple in this, and we're going to call them a commune. One couple in this commune met because they traveled from other ends of the country to go check it out, and met and fell in love last year and got married and started a kid, and now they live there. So, some of this is going to be happening. And I'm just not a fan generally of so-called safe spaces where this Orwell guy specifically called this area as a whites only safe space. But weren't guys like him angry during the Obama years when colleges were propping up safe spaces for like Black kids or Latino kids or whatever? Weren't guys like him angry about those spaces? So how is this any different? Like, I'm just not a fan of safe spaces.
I'm not either. I mean, it's sort of like, look, I don't believe in I don't think single sex. I understand there are certain advantages to single sex schools. Look, it's complicated, right? On the other hand, so I think that like it's a single sex school might empower women, girls during math class. On the other hand, now that scouting is Boy Scouts have become scouting BSA.
Yeah, that's dumb.
And they admit women scoutmasters and girls. I gotta
Girl
say,
Scouts.
They did that like the last couple of years that like my kid and I were in Scouts, and it sucked.
Oh, really?
Oh, the girls were so annoying. And
I didn't know your son. I didn't know it happened when he was still young enough.
Yeah. So we were at summer camp. I'll just tell the story. And like, so there's thank God our troop didn't have any girls. Thank God. I mean, to me, it's totally the whole point of Boy Scouts is you run around in the woods, you get injured, you break things, you
Like
start
Lord
fires,
Lord of
you
the
kill
Flies?
things. It's Lord of the Flies. It's awesome. No discipline.
Okay.
The guys are all
Okay.
drinking. All the Scoutmasters are drinking. It's great. And anyway, so we were walking down to the lake to go canoeing and swimming, and we walked adjacent to a camp where there were like lady and Girl Scout ladies, and they're like, "You're barefoot. You should put on your shoes." And we're like, I didn't say anything, but the boys were like, "Fuck you, shut up," and like literally. And they were like, "Oh, we're going to report you. What troop are you in?" We're like, "We're in troop Blow Me." And so it's,
Oh my God.
it's like, what's it to you if we get a splinter in our foot? Why do you care? Fuck off. You know,
Like it's my foot. If I want a splinter, that's my business. Like,
yeah, not to mention it didn't happen. So like, whatever. It's like, but it's, I mean, it's just like, like, you don't get this, man. I want the rules. It's like literally destroying the entire culture of the organization. Plus, there is Girl Scouts, so go do that. I don't know. It's
right. They have their own.
It's complicated, and there have been like Rasta communities and all sorts of, Israel is a whole ethno state all by its lonesome, and it's not, and they didn't even buy the land. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's
no different. Like
I think these guys are wacko assholes.
Sure,
but they're wacko
I think they're within their right.
Their wacko assholery seems completely legal under American law, and I'm going to go a little further, and I think it should be. I think I don't think the law should be changed. I think if you want to go and and be all inbred, you guys do that.
I mean, I can understand where it is that they're coming from, honestly. As the immigration hawk, there is something to be said that immigration is destroying the American identity. If you go and you ask 100 people, especially where you are, Ted, well, hell, where both y'all are, what is an American? No one has that question anymore. I mean, honestly, what unites us? What if you go to Japan, or if you go to Germany, if you go to Italy, or any real country, so what is it specifically that makes you a German or a Frenchman or whatever? No, they can tell you we have a shared history, we have a shared language, shared culture, shared values. Here in the United States, we have none of those things.
Well, we used to, and I don't think those, and I don't think the
well, we used to, but immigration tore it down.
But I don't look here. When I was a kid, I'm the oldest person here, so I think I have the most experience to talk about this. When I was a kid, basically our understanding was that anybody who came here could become an American, and that the shared values we had were about rugged individualism, yet helping a neighbor in trouble, communitarianism that way, being easygoing and not being don't involve yourself in other people's business, freedom to be whoever and whatever you want it to be, as long as that freedom doesn't impinge on anyone else's freedom. I think those are all the kinds of values that Americans shared. I mean, the four freedoms as FDR defined.
The emphasis, though, was shared, the past tense. So fast forward to 2025. Can you answer that question now?
Well, the problem is, I think those we don't share those values, where people, for example, we do want to tell each other what to do and what to think and what to be, and it's across all political ideologies. I don't think that what's happened here is that a bunch of foreigners have suddenly come and destroyed that commonweal. I think what's happened, because I mean, if that makes no sense, because a lot of foreigners came here 100, 150, 200 years ago, and it didn't happen then, and we still had them. I think what's happened is
that's true, but they had to assimilate, right? Because there was no welfare state back then. I mean, you had to assimilate. You had to learn English. You had to have.
My family did. My family had to do that.
And like, let me promise you, Robbie, that anybody who's coming to the United States as a migrant, for example, if they somehow manage to escape the clutches of ICE and their kids, grow up here, their kids will be fully assimilated. They'll be American. They'll speak with an American accent. They'll speak well.
Then why do you have?
I'm right here.
Then why do you have a ballot in New York City for the 100 different languages? I mean, what you're saying is factually untrue.
Okay. Well, the reason we have we could have had that same ballot 100 years ago. Are you kidding? Do you know what the Lower East Side looked like back then?
Yeah, I know. But back then, though, only Americans
they didn't do that,
vote.
right?
And you had to learn
English. But Robbie,
we just weren't as sensitive back then.
No, I mean, the whole point is then people on the left said, like, no, we have to have a ballot that like everyone can read. And that's, and without any debate or discussion as a society, they just did that. I think a lot of people on the left would agree that that's ridiculous. Because it literally, like, I'm not sure you should be able or should vote for an election for a country where you can't read or write the language.
Well, of course, I mean, if you're going to live in a representative country, whether it's a republic in our case or a democracy or some kind of hybrid system, whatever, by definition, you've got to have some kind of buy-in before you go and start voting to make laws that impact society writ large, especially whenever you're throwing open the gates and you've imported 200 million people.
But that's
since 1965.
But that's not what's caused this. I mean, you can make an argument against it, and you do it very eloquently on this show all the time. Yeah, but that's not the problem here.
No, I agree. But now hear me out. Let me get a word in here.
This is about politics.
No, I get it. What this is about fear. This is about fear of the outsider, and what we're going to do is that we're going to withdraw. Personally, I think what they're doing is stupid. And for the record, before someone comes out here and calls me a white supremacist Nazi for saying I see where they're coming from, I would not be allowed to live there because I have a black wife and 2 mulatto kids.
Well, you could abandon your family and then you could.
Yeah, that's what I told him earlier. I said you would be allowed there.
Now,
the rest of your family would.
Now, to me, the way that you're going to do this, like if I was going to set up a commune, I would not do it along. Along racial lines. That's retarded. And like you said, you're going to get inbred. I advocate Christian nationalism. I would have a Christian nationalist society. Trannies, goodbye. Butt pirates, see you later. You're excluded. I mean, in my perfect world, that is where I would be. I mean, that straight up is where I would be. A Christian national state. Call it a crusader state, if you would.
I can play this game too, Robbie. How about rug munchers, carpetbaggers, gash mashers? Would they be welcome too?
No.
So just cis Christian community.
Well, I don't know what the hell cis means because no one asked me if I want to be labeled that.
Means. No one
knows. Exactly.
So
they
what
just
that
say it.
By the way,
what that means
exactly, they just did it.
This
is literally the problem here. And like, so the left has done a lot of stuff. They just did it. One day you woke up and you were like, "Oh, you're cis," and like, you never talked. You didn't sell it to us. You didn't explain it to us. Yeah, we never had any discussion about that. What do you mean? And it's part of the reason there's such a flash. And now the Trumpies, they're just doing it. Same thing. It's just making it worse.
And one thing also, as y'all's resident white Christian right winger, I mean, if you go through and if you read and you listen to a lot of the political discourse, it is okay to be proud and Mexican. It's okay to be proud and Asian. But if you say, I'm a proud white man, I am proud of where I come from and my heritage, especially if you're from the South, which, by the way, I am, you are immediately called a racist, Nazi, everything else. And you know what? If society writ large tells me, hey, Robbie, I hate you because of the way that you sound, the way that you look, my default reaction is fuck right on off. I will disengage. And then if you want to go live in a commune out in the Ozarks, which I'm in Montana, so I can kind of see the appeal. They should have came to Montana, more guns. But
your northern Ozarks,
it looks beautiful.
I mean, no, if society writ large.
By the way, they kind of chose a state where it's probably pretty easy to do this. You know, guys, I went to a convention there for alternative newspapers, the alt news weeklies
in Arkansas.
It was in Little Rock. And anyway, first of all, I just parenthetically, when you arrive in Little Rock, you're like, I can't, if the media had ever gone to Little Rock before Bill Clinton was elected, he would have lost in 1992. What a dump. But anyway, the point, and also the airport is Bill Clinton International Airport. And there's like a shrine, not only to the Bill, but also to Hillary and the daughter. Chelsea. Yeah, she's on the wall when you're in the arrival gate. But anyway, it was amazing because it was really the hotel. Unfortunately, the pool wasn't working and it was hot as shit. So my friend and I were like, oh, let's go to the public pool. We go to the public pool. The three ladies at the front desk are all black. And so they're like, do you want the lap pool or do you want the main pool for, just puttering around? And my friend goes, oh, I'll take the lap pool. He's a lap swimmer. I'm like, I'll take the other one. And they're like, start looking at each other, exchanging some knowing glances and feeling obviously very uncomfortable. And they look at me and they're like, are you sure you don't want to be with your friend in the lap pool? And I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like doing laps. And they're like, you might be better off in the lap pool. And I'm like, no. So I insisted, and they're, as you guys know, I'm a stubborn person. And so anyway, they sold me the ticket like, you do you. I walk in there and I immediately saw, of course, it was a segregated public pool. And this was about 15 years ago. It might still be that way. I don't even know. But it was right in Little Rock. And it was as if Little Rock versus, Board of Education never fucking happened.
People are tribal by nature. I mean, let's be honest. People are tribal by nature. I mean, we are a tribal animal, for lack of a better word. People look alike, tend to flock together, and that's not a racist thing to say either. It happens.
That's a statement of fact.
No, of course it is.
Just look at a school cafeteria.
But I mean, it's politically incorrect to say it, but it is. And like the point that I was making before about the only group of people that it is not only acceptably racist against, but actively encouraged in academia is against white people. Manila, you point out yourself. Oh, look, those racist white people. They came and colonized the Americas and killed all the Indians.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Well, whiteys did help. One of my ancestors, David Morgan, is famously known as the great Indian fighter. Well, do I know who killed more Indians than whiteys did? Mother Nature, because she's a vindictive bitch. I mean, if you come in with the foreign population,
also other Indians,
smallpox, and other things, of course.
Yeah.
But just lay all that on the table of old whitey over there, and talk about well, what about the history of the Indians who were there? I don't know. What language did they write? Oh, that's right, they didn't have one. So how do you have history if you don't even have any kind of living memory?
Well, they had a verbal language, right?
Yeah, but I mean, how well does that work once they're all gone? Like, we can read ancient Egyptian because they wrote stuff down. We found the Rosetta Stone. We can read Latin because they wrote stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't any native Latin speakers anymore, but sure enough, there it is. We can see that there was a language that was there in the history.
There's the ecclesiastical Latin in the church, right? They publish newspapers and stuff.
Oh yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying though. I mean, it's just that's a throwback to heritage, which I mean, I'm surprised that's not being called racist right now. I mean, give them time.
It was in the Catholic Church. Like, that's why they got rid of the Latin Mass. It was viewed as racist.
So let me ask you about this commune or settlement or whatever he's calling it. I mean, to be totally fair, intentional community. To be totally fair, if anybody has any experience with something called a co-op,
do you think they all swap wives and stuff? Like,
I don't know.
Friend who lived
I don't think so.
He lived in a commune in Tennessee for a long time called The Farm, and they had like a sleeping rotation schedule on the fridge. Like, if it's Monday,
so this is like a swingers commune.
It was like, well, no, it's the open love, free love. Like, it was a free love, like 1970s. 80s.
Oh, well, this is very different than that.
You don't think they're like,
but
hey, I'm with Jezebel,
I think
if
this
it's
place,
Monday.
I think this place is operating, I'm not sure, but based on what I've read about them, RTTL is operating like a co-op, which those buildings exist all over the country, especially in major metropolitan cities like where Ted is, where I am. And a co-op is different than a condominium, different than a condo association. A co-op, you have the co-op board that can literally decide.
A condo is just like an apartment that you buy. just like you would buy a
but
house.
a co-op board is very different, where
you don't
they get
own,
to
you
choose.
don't own an apartment in your co-op.
Dumb
No,
question.
your
Because
co-op, the co-op board can choose. They
what
can
the hell's a
vote
co-op?
to say,
So a co-op
what is that?
Okay, so a co-op is like it on paper. It looks like you're basically just buying an apartment, and that the
Right.
practical effect
but the
of it
prices
is
tend to be
you
cheaper
buy an apartment
too.
and there's an HOA, right? Well, the prices are lower because they're not fully liquid. A condo you can sell to anyone you want, therefore you have more prospective
At any
buyers.
time,
so therefore,
whatever.
but a co-op you can't sell without the approval of the co-op board. Legally, you actually
Right.
own shares in a corporation that owns the building that then leases you back your unit. And so, like, let's say I want to sell my co-op to Manila. She has to go before the co-op board, and they could literally just be like, we don't like Laotian girls, so no. Or we don't like girls who wear stripy shirts, so no. Or whatever. Or they might
We
not
don't
like
like
me.
people with
We're not
glasses.
going to let Clovis move out of the building. The brat situation could get out of control. We're not letting Ted
Right.
leave.
They literally
is this
make up
something that-
any reason.
So is this
it's kind
something
of like
that
a co-op?
So is this something that typically happens with apartments? Because y'all got to remember, I'm out in the middle of flyover country. I know
No,
nothing
no.
about what is
It's
y'all
not
speak.
exclusively apartments, but mostly, I would say.
Right. So and it could be an enclave community of like, it could be, it depends on
Like
how
a
your
development. It could be a
a
development.
development is established. So if it's established as a co-op, like Ted said, it's more like you're buying shares into this property, and this is your little share. So it could be a parcel of land, it could be an apartment, it could be, the left side of this townhouse, like that's your
And a
townhouse.
co-op
This one's
board is
mine.
it's like a Nazi dictatorship. They
Yes.
can do anything
It's
they want
authoritarian.
with the most they've passed legal muster repeatedly. They are always sued, and courts always say they can do whatever they want.
So
Because-
basically, this RTTL is, I don't know Arkansas law, but I know some real estate law in DC, Virginia, and
I'm not sure
obviously
Arkansas
California.
has a written language.
So I don't know if Sarah Huckabee Sanders has looked into this, but the ACLU is on it. The ACLU, obviously, Ted, the ACLU is moving in on this because it's gaining some traction, getting news attention, because people are like, whoa, you're expanding with 3 other communities sprinkled in the U.S. And so now the ACLU is like, okay, we're interested, and we're going to take this up in Arkansas. We're going to take this to Huckabee Sanders. We're going to sue the state. We're going to sue. So
For
that's
what?
starting to happen.
I mean,
But
for
based
what?
on what I know of co-op law and real estate law, that in 3 different states, is that technically how you incorporate, just like if you're an LLC, if you're whatever, based on how you incorporate, you can make laws regarding, or not laws, but rules, covenants, CCNRs, based on whatever you want. So technically, is this legal? I think the dude has the legal right.
We
Well,
need
what's
to get
that- well-
moving because we're still on
well,
the
what's
first
standing with-
topic.
Well, what
Yeah.
standing honestly would they have to sue? I mean, but before you can take me to court,
Yeah.
don't I have to at least break a law?
Someone like wouldn't
Well,
have
there's
standing.
federal housing law is the thing.
Robbie, in
I think they
in
might
the
use that.
situation that I described earlier, I don't know if you were here for that, but I was just saying, like, someone would have to apply to join and be rejected.
Right.
They would have
Which they
standing.
inevitably will.
They would have. Well, I don't know. I mean, what kind of fucking lunatic would be like, oi, I'm Jewish. I want to come hang out with you fine Nordic folk. Like, I don't think so. I think, like, who's going to do that? I mean, not me.
No, because somebody will be put up to it by the ACLU.
Of course. I mean, that's how I would do it. I mean, now the way that I would, if that happened, and I'll go away because I'm never going to be going over. If someone did that, what I would do is just say, well, I identify as Jewish and you're being anti-Semitic and you are committing a hate crime against me. I mean, I would play this whole woke game right back against them. 100%. That's exactly how I would play this.
Well, let's get to it. We've got Robbie and I have a
we've
bonus
got to move
edition
on.
to record. So we've got
to move on. But this is, pay attention to this story. This is the RTTL people.
Yep.
This guy right here. This is the guy that's running the whole thing. So
maybe
this
don't pay
story's about to
attention
get
to
big.
the next story because I hate this next story. It's so boring. All right, Obama's under scrutiny as Republicans say he spearheaded a manufactured intelligence narrative, aka Russiagate, targeting Trump. Rick Crawford, chair of the House Intelligence Committee, bluntly said that the matter goes all the way up to Obama, insisting that Obama authorized it and can't pretend not to know about it. The comments come on the heels of a 44-page House report declassified by Tulsi, alleging that Obama and his team directed the January 2017 intelligence community assessment that knowingly included false claims that Putin preferred Trump, part of what Gabbard calls a treasonous conspiracy. That report also reveals that earlier classified data, dubbed Clinton Plan Intelligence, suggested that Hillary's camp in the 2016 race approved a campaign to smear Trump as colluding with Russia. Obama's response was unambiguous. He said the allegations were bizarre and outrageous. He said that neither Gabbard's release nor the new claims undermine the conclusion that Moscow pulled all the strings in the 2016 election and installed Trump. He pointed to bipartisan confirmation from the 2020 Senate Intelligence Community and a CIA review that Russia did try to meddle, but didn't actually succeed in doing so. Meanwhile, the DOJ has launched a strike force to look into it. Republicans say that they're going to get to the bottom of it, and obviously Russiagate remains unsettled, debunked, but unsettled.
I mean, this is so stupid. Like, I can't believe that in all of the images that mainstream media is using, including the images that Tulsi Gabbard has put up, that Hillary Clinton's face is missing from from the people that are guilty. Like, how are you going to put this all on Barack Obama? And I'm no Obama defender, but this was Hillary Clinton's brainchild, the campaign brainchild. Like, this is what they opted to do. If anything, I agree with what's his name from the House committee here, Rick Crawford. I actually agree with him in saying that if anything, this shows the Russians actually preferred Hillary Clinton, because then they would have dirt on her. And it's also because she's predictable, right? The Russians prefer that. They didn't actually prefer Donald Trump, but they didn't weigh in on that. So they actually would have preferred Hillary Clinton, because they if there was a hack, they just did what every intel agency of every country, every CIA of every country, they do what they do. They be hacking, they be grabbing information, and they hang on to it until it's useful. And they had the DNC hack.
There was no hack. Or there was no hack. I mean, that information got out because a disgruntled DNC staffer gave it to WikiLeaks.
And for years, at least from the Russian side,
we know Craig Murray worked with Julian Assange at WikiLeaks. Craig Murray personally received the info on a hard drive at a park at American University in Washington, D.C. from a disgruntled DNC staffer who was pissed off at what the DNC had done to Bernie. That's how WikiLeaks got the data.
That person was Seth Rich. We don't know, obviously. But what I do know is that Russian intelligence has for years collected data points on Hillary Clinton, with or without any hacks, points on Hillary Clinton, and built a complete profile on predicting how she might respond to situation A.
There's no evidence whatsoever that the Russian Federation, there's a little bit of evidence that a private Russian company bought a few Facebook ads that were inconsequential.
Right. So stupid.
Literally,
like,
we're talking
they
about
spent $3,000, Ted.
It's literally a few $1,000s in a $7 billion campaign. Hey,
That's
if
nuts.
I can change the results of a campaign with a few $1,000s, I'm going to run for president. Okay, so let's keep going here.
Crazy.
Columbia University, this is disgusting, will pay more than $220 million to the Trump administration to settle what Trump calls civil rights violations that were committed against Jewish students amid anti-Israel protests to the school. Still waiting for one single Jewish student to actually say, my name is so-and-so, and this bad anti-Semitic thing happened to me. Not one, that has not yet happened.
Right, like I got
once.
beat up and they pulled my kippah off my head and
nothing like that. I mean, you would
Nothing
think
like
it
that.
would have happened. There was so much chaos on campus. It literally, if it happened, there's been no evidence whatsoever. But there's been, Jewish students said, oh, I saw people wearing keffiyehs and it made me feel unsafe. I heard people chanting from the river to the sea. That made me feel uncomfortable. I felt excluded. This is really true. I felt excluded because I tried to go to the, with my Israeli flag, to the anti-Zionist encampment, and they asked me to leave. I wasn't welcome.
Well, there were kids, like for example at UCLA, that were like, yeah, there was this mass protest happening there with like the Palestine people, and I'm Jewish, and I'm just trying to get to the library, and there's too many of them. I had to go walk around 40 yards.
Okay, so right, so inconvenienced and because you're a racist and you see a keffiyeh and you're like, that makes you uncomfortable. I'm sorry, you're the racist here, okay? And if you think from the river to the free Palestine Palestine will be free, you're anti-freedom, so you're a bad person there too. I mean, but anyway, okay, I could do this all fucking day. Let's not. The settlement comes after the Department.
Oh, sorry.
The settlement comes after the Department of Health and Human Services concluded that Colombia violated Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 by failing to protect its Jewish students from harassment over the span of 19 months. Still waiting for evidence. The school committed to reversing its racially discriminatory practices. Reversing what racially discriminatory practices? Except in favor of the Israelis, because Colombia had already expelled pro-Palestinian students. They banned Jewish Voice for Peace. Just think about where you are ideologically when you find yourself in the position of banning a group called Jewish Voice for Peace, and also agreed to submitting to independent monitoring to ensure that it's complying with merit-based hiring and admissions requirements. In other words, no affirmative action. The $220 million is $200 million goes to the federal government, so to Trump for 3 years. I guess the Israelis those Gazans aren't going to kill themselves, and $20 million for Jewish employees who were discriminated against during the anti-Israel protest. Well, they're going to save their money. $20 million because that didn't happen. Colombia served as the epicenter of what they called anti-Semitic protests that broke out across the country last year. Some students have gone back to protest this year as well, including there was a protest at a library while students were studying for finals last spring. Colombia said Tuesday it has suspended or expelled and also removed diplomas from people who had graduated, nearly 80 students over the library protest. So,
well, Ted, we still don't have the question answered, though.
The next time Colombia calls me for a donation, I will be like, why don't you ask Donald Trump for some of your money back? Because why on earth would I give a penny to a school that's then going to give it to Donald Trump so he can kill Palestinians with it? Like, are you insane? I mean, like they got rolled. They're idiots. It's like, this shit is so stupid. They're going to come back looking for more money. It's not going to make Trump go away. It's not. It's just gonna. They're just doing it to get their research funding back. Trump will find another excuse to pull it back. He's trolling them. That's what he does. He's a professional troll. I just can't believe what a bunch of rubes they are. Sorry.
This doesn't address, though, right? Like whether or not the school accreditation is reinstated.
No, it does not. I'm still a graduate of Columbia Beauty School, which is part of why I'm so pretty. But it's really.
Do you think it will? They will reinstate it because of this? Because now that Columbia's caved,
knowing Trump, no, I think Trump's always going to come back looking for more. It's like, look, once you let people know that you're weak, then you become a target. I mean, Columbia's a patsy. They're rubes. They let themselves get rolled.
They're the canary in the coal mine here, because we already know there's like a lawsuit happening right now with Harvard. Mm-hmm. There's other schools that are in the Trump admin crosshairs. Correct. And Columbia, being as rich as it is, I really thought they were going to fight it.
Well, they should have.
Didn't.
No, they
did
should
it.
have. And the other thing is, I know they were afraid to lose that research money, right? Here's the thing that they didn't calculate. First of all, that university has always been Zionist as shit. It's always been right wing. The administration
Columbia?
is the administration. The administration's very Zionist and very tied into Zionist donors. It's always been right wing Republican going back like forever.
I never knew that.
I mean, that's like the Berkeley trustees. They're all a bunch of right wingers. It's nothing like the faculty or the students. So so they're deep inside like the business community and at Wall Street and real estate and all that garbage.
Oh, wow.
And but I think if they had thought it through, they might have been like, we could do a different model here. Most of our alums are leftists, and and like we would have all stepped up to support the college if they'd been targeted by the administration. They were in real trouble. The left, think about all that school graduates tens of thousands of people every year, many of whom are very successful and very wealthy.
Yes.
So it's like they could have turned to us and then no longer been dependent on federal funding. It's sort of like PBS and NPR. It's like if the federal government can turn against you because of a change in the political winds, that's not
they
safe
should have
for you.
given out some tote bags, Ted.
That's
where
true.
they fucked up.
All right, so the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee announced a new policy on Monday that prohibits trans athletes from competing in women's events. That begins with the 2028 Olympic Games in L.A. By the way, I should point out that I did find out that there's Olympic blood in my veins. I will get to that. This decision follows Donald Trump's February executive order called Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports, and aligns with similar moves by the NCAA and international sports bodies like World Athletics and World Aquatics. The group said that it acted after respectful discussions with federal officials, acknowledging its obligation as a federally funded entity. Under the new policy, only athletes who are quote unquote assigned female at birth, like through the sorting hat at that Dumbledore is in charge of, will be eligible for women's events. The move comes amid growing support for biologically based eligibility. 69% of voters now favor birth gender rules for athletic competition, according to Gallup, while the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, had previously allowed trans athletes under hormone-based guidelines. Newly appointed IOC Pres Christy Coventry wants stricter protections for women's sports. California is the host of the 2028 Games, and they're already challenging the new policy in court. So I just found that I've been doing some genealogy stuff, and I found out that one of my French ancestors competed in the 1900 Olympic Games.
Wow.
And also set some major records he was a cyclist. In fact, started his own bicycle company and his own car company, which ran from
This is your mom's side.
Yeah. It's CORRE automobiles. But he competed in the 1900 Olympics, not as a bicyclist, where he set records like in a solo Tour de France. But check out this shit. Auto racing was an Olympic sport in 1900, and he competed. He represented France as an auto racer. Well, it's a lot better than synchronized swimming. I would rather watch that.
But the auto race. Okay, I know we can get into this whole conversation another day, but how is an automobile in the name auto? It's a machine doing it.
Oh, they do. What about the Winter Olympics, Manila? The luge. You're just riding.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I mean,
I know. I have some.
And in the luge, you don't do anything, right?
Right. You sit in this thing.
Yeah, you wiggle maybe. I mean, you don't even steer.
Yeah, you lean. You have to lean.
Steer, right? Yeah,
no, you lean.
Yeah, you lean a little bit.
Lean.
Ooh,
you lean.
You lean.
And you have to probably be a certain body weight that you have to maintain or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, but like, I'm sorry, that's not really a sport, is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm going for a ride.
Really
either. I'm going to compete in the 2028 subway races.
So it's like, they had
my subway is going to get there faster than yours.
But this one, I'm on board with this, Ted. As you know, like during the Paris Olympics, there was a lot of controversy about the Algerian boxer, and to this day, the Russian, I forget what the boxing board is called, but the Russian boxing board that used to be the feeder into the women's boxing in the Olympics, they came out and brought the receipts, the DNA samples and whatever of the Algerian boxer to say this boxer has XY chromosomes. Like, this is,
although that's pretty funny because, as you know, Russia has kind of a history of some gender-bending, dubious East German swimmers to the point where it's become a joke, right?
So with the 2024 Olympics, it was like the Russian boxing committee came out and was like, we have concerns because this is the data. And they were like, no, Russians, you're evil warmongers and you cannot be in charge of the boxing division anymore. So we're going to take it back. And so that's what happened there. And then,
this is going to be a problem, by the way.
There's this.
This is going to be a problem in the U.S. because, look, it violates civil rights law, right? I mean, trans people are a protected class under federal law. I don't care what Donald Trump thinks or does. And so if the Olympics don't adhere and provide protections and allow trans women athletes to compete at the Olympic Games, they're going to be sued.
No, they're not barred from competing in the games. They're barred from competing in this category.
Well,
Robbie's going to have that is not splitting hairs. That is not splitting hairs. Look at Leah Thomas. University of Pennsylvania took back all of the titles she got, like, as a female number one swimmer. You're not a female. I mean, I'm going to play the video.
Men do not get to play in women's sports. I do not give two shits about your mental illness or your delusions.
Wait, Manila,
if you have a schlong, if you're born with a dick, you do not get to play in women's
Manila,
sports.
No, I've always been on the side of this.
You were always lecturing me that we called trans women she and her, right?
I don't.
But you did on our old show. And like now you're saying, well, she's not a girl.
No. If that's what they want me to call them, I'm okay with calling them that. I have no problem with that.
All right. So just
but it doesn't mean that I think you should be swimming against biological girls or competing or boxing against biological females when you're 6'4" and 210 pounds. And here, listen to this.
The average American woman.
Here's what Leah Thomas.
Listen,
here's what Leah Thomas sounds like. Hold on. Here, listen to this. Listen to this voice, okay? You can't just.
I knew there would be scrutiny against me if I competed as a woman. I was prepared for that.
The Trump administration
her voice is deeper than mine.
It's because it's a dude. Yeah. It's not a her. That is a guy. That is a dude. And I don't care if you're
a dude with long hair.
I don't care if you're a 3'1" midget. If you're born with a schlong, you're still a dude. You're still a guy.
If you have long hair, you automatically become a girl. When I had long hair, I was a girl during that period.
That's my point.
Suddenly everyone's hitting on me, opening doors. I suddenly didn't have to. I didn't have to be on time anywhere. It was great.
Did you go by Ted still, or did it become like Theodora?
Tedina.
Were you able to be emotional with your arguments? Something happened.
I completely just became irrational. Didn't use logic.
Leah Thomas here makes no effort other than growing their hair long and saying, I'm swimming in the girls' heat.
Why are you calling him they?
Because I don't know what they go by.
It's a dude, Manila. It doesn't matter.
I think she goes by she.
This is the freaking problem.
I have no problem calling them the Dalai Lama if they want. I don't care about that. But when it comes
will you call me the Dalai Lama?
If you want to, if you want me to, if so-called Leah Thomas wants to swim against biological girls, that's where I draw the line. And I think the Olympics committee, whether or not you consider them caving to Donald Trump and his, whatever.
Well, that's what they did. That is what they did.
I don't care. I think it's the right move. I think it's the right move. And I think, for example, in the 2024 Paris Olympics, that egged on by Emmanuel Macron, who could maybe be married to a man or a woman, we're not sure, egged egged
Whoever it is-
on the
whoever
Olympic
it is,
Committee.
she's beating the shit out of him.
That's correct. Whatever gender Emmanuel Macron is married to, the spouse of Macron is slapping and beating the shit out of him.
Well,
So
look, no one still has I take your point. I would, if I had a normal woman as my daughter who was competing in these sports, I'd be furious about this. So I get it. I don't think it's a huge issue because it's not like it doesn't affect a lot of people, but still for the people it affects, it matters a lot. And
massive.
And I guess my question though is, no one has a solution to this, right? Like it's not like you can have a trans women only, like a trans women only. There's not enough of them.
Yeah, there is a solution for this. There absolutely is a solution to this.
I know what you're going to say.
You compete with the other guys. That's what you do. That's what you do.
They feel it goes against their gender identification.
Don't care.
Hurts them psychologically.
Do not care.
They have a high rate of, trans people have a high rate of suicide. I do care about that. They suffer from depression terribly. And
because you're mentally ill,
and they get harassed. They'll get harassed in the men's locker room too.
If I'm a girl swimmer and I have to compete against Leah Thomas and I'm crushed by the speed and swiftness of Leah Thomas, who was number 230 in the men's heat.
Okay,
230 in the men's heat, and then you suddenly become number 1 in the women's heat.
We get it. But what about Leah Thomas? What's supposed to happen to her?
Leah Thomas versus 5,000 other girl swimmers across the U.S.
Okay, but you answer my question. So where is this person supposed to compete? In their own
Leah
trans
Thomas
woman
has
league
penis.
with like
Leah Thomas
Clovis
should
and no one
swim
else?
against other penile Americans.
Okay, but then they need their own separate locker room.
If you guys have rudders, then you guys need to be on the rudder side of the pool.
This is simple. This is simple.
It's not simple.
There are two genders. There is male and female, man and woman. I mean, this is how it's been for 6,000 years of history till about 2 minutes ago. How about we just stick with that?
Well, there were hermaphrodites.
But those are incredibly rare, and that's because you get born with both parts. That's a genetic anomaly. That's not because you wake up one day and you feel like it's because you wake up one day and feel, oh my God, I'm a girl now. No, sorry, you're not.
My hair long and put on lipstick.
You're mentally ill. I'm under no obligation whatsoever to placate to your delusions. I do not care what you want, what you call yourself. It makes no difference.
I think the Olympic. So Robbie and I, we agree. We think the Olympic Committee did the right thing here and putting their foot down for 2028.
Actually, I disagree with you.
Well, they're going to end up in court.
Really?
I disagree with you there, and here's why. I agree with the spirit of what they did, but they should have waited till Congress did this thing called passing a law, because presidents are not kings. Trump rules by executive order. That's the issue. Congress needs to come out.
This is the Olympic Committee.
I understand that, but they're governed by the laws of the different nations, right? So until Congress comes out one way or the other and passes a law, either affirming this delusion or not, there is a law. I mean, the law currently is that under Title VI, these are protected. Leah Thompson's protected as a trans athlete to swim with the girls. Yeah. Well, what I would do is
Title IX protects the women, biological women.
It also protects the trans women.
There's no such thing as a trans woman, Ted. That's the issue.
There's a conflict.
There is no such thing as a trans woman. There's either a man or there's a woman. There's no such thing as a trans woman. You have a dude cosplaying as a girl.
I don't know. So
let's move on.
So yeah, we got to move on. Last topic, but I personally agree with what the Olympic Committee did.
I think we should save this. Can we save this topic for tomorrow? Because me and Ted got to do a taping.
All right, that sounds good. All right,
we're moving on.
House subcommittee on Wednesday passed a motion to issue subpoenas to Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton over their connection with Ghislaine Maxwell. The subcommittee doesn't have the power to issue the subpoenas themselves, but the orders are expected to be sent by House Oversight Chairman James Comer in the next couple of days. It's not clear if a deposition would occur during the August recess. I guess now it's the July, August Epstein recess, or if the subject will wait till September. The motion was introduced by Scott Perry, a Republican from Pennsylvania, who went after the Democrats for pretending to care about Epstein's victims. It's disappointing how Democrats who shielded this convicted sex criminal for years now are acting like they suddenly care about the victims, he said. They didn't care then and they don't care now. The move comes the same day Comer subpoenaed Maxwell for a deposition, which will take place next month at her prison, where she's serving 20 years for child sex trafficking and related offenses. The House panel also approved a motion to subpoena the DOJ for files related to Epstein. The motion passed 8-2, with 3 Republicans joining all of the Democrats to get that through. So that split over the Epstein files is alive and well, and I don't think Manila going anywhere soon.
Certainly not. And Bill Clinton, we know, as we mentioned off air, that Bill has a penchant for young, or I think we did it at the top of the show, that Bill has a penchant, or had at least a penchant for younger women. And Monica Lewinsky, while she was of age, of legal, consensual age, was still very much a very, very young girl when this all happened to her, right? With the most powerful man in the world. And she's like a 20-year-old girl or whatever it was. And we know that Bill Clinton was pretty cozy with Epstein, and that Epstein famously in his Manhattan mansion had that famous blue Bill Clinton in the blue dress, like as wall art. Not making it up. It's a fact.
Who painted it?
I don't know. They've never actually discussed the artist, but it's a painting of Bill
I wonder
wearing
where that
Monica's
painting
blue
is
dress.
now. I mean, all of that stuff got seized. Didn't
Sotheby's.
it, when he got
I don't
arrested?
know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Weird.
I don't know. I don't know, because art isn't a crime, right? And I think his brother inherited all of his properties. So I would imagine that Epstein's only, as far as we know, living relative,
That
his
makes
brother,
sense.
I think, inherits everything. So I imagine his brother has possession of all of that stuff, because the art.
Unless he
I
left
don't
stuff to
know.
Ghislaine.
He could have left it to Ghislaine, but she's in prison. So I think his next of kin is the brother. So I think the brother gets everything. So I'm curious to know what the brother knows. He alleges, how come no one's talking about the brother? The brother was there for many of these high profile meetings, including like the Clintons and Bill Gates, because it's his brother. They hang out. They're bros. Literally, they're bros. And how come we're not hearing from Epstein's brother about any of it? How has he managed to escape? He inherited Little St. James. He inherited all the mansions. He inherited, I presume, maybe the property that's in Kiev that nobody's talking about. So how come we don't hear from the brother? Why are we only looking at Bill? I mean, yes, it's salacious because he's a former U.S. president, and here with his wife. This is a barf, like Barfa-palooza from Elle magazine here. Let me just show you real quick, Ted. This is Elle magazine. They did a whole video, Barfa-palooza, of a montage
look at
of
Chelsea's outfit. Holy shit.
Yes.
Wow.
Bill and Hillary's sweetest moments. Oh, Ted, isn't this just heartwarming? Like this couple right here plotting death and murder, and isn't that sweet? Look at this. This is years before she would become Secretary of State and plan the destruction of Libya.
Well, it's funny. They skipped over the one of them, the one where they weren't holding hands. Do you remember after he announced the Monica Lewinsky thing, and they went off to Camp David to try to, work on their marriage, supposedly. Now, the funniest thing is, and I still can't believe the bullshit that comes out of official Washington, was they said on the air, he hasn't told Hillary yet, so he's going to tell her. And and it was like, but it was on national television. And it's like, and so he's going to tell her.
I missed that.
Yeah, literally. And they were literally like, it's going to be a hard talk. It's going to be tough for him to,
No.
to like let her know. And then they show him like walking out to Marine One, and he's like this, like biting his lip, like, like, oh my, like
I'm gonna have a talk with my wife.
Oh, I'm gonna be in the doghouse. I'm gonna be in the doghouse now.
I'm in the doghouse now, and I'm gonna talk to my wife.
Hillary's not gonna like this one little bit. But I mean, it was hilarious. It's also like, come on.
Shout out to Nerd, by the way, donation. Thank you, Nerd. And Ted, we gotta show a couple of the comments here.
Put them up.
There's one. Lewinsky was an Israeli asset.
That is a widely, a lot of people believe that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have heard that before.
There's really no evidence to support that, though.
We don't have evidence, but I have heard this before, and something about how her parents are
she's
connected.
A little derp from California. By the way, in her book, it was very sad. She talked about how she was the only kid at Beverly Hills High School 90210 not to be invited to her classmate Tori Spelling's birthday party.
Oh, poor little rich girl from Beverly Hills.
She wasn't really a rich girl, actually. She lived, how like she was kind of like from the wrong side of Beverly Hills. I'm serious. She didn't have money. She didn't come from money.
I don't know enough about her childhood, but I have heard this, and here's Bill and Hillary more recently out and about in Quebec. But a lot of people are interested to know what his part in all of this was. And as we know, Hillary, from what I have heard from people that have been around her and had to guard her or whatever, they say that she's a raging bitch, and that whatever Bill does in Bill's private time, she deliberately turns a blind eye, and that's how their marriage functions. So,
right.
To each his own, Ted, to each his and her or their own.
And speaking of which, I got to go record with Robbie.
Robbie,
dipping on us.
Robbie, I got a doctor's appointment. Robbie, do we have to do a word from any sponsor today? No? Okay. So then that is it. We can leave that there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please remember to smash that like button and the follow, the subscribe, all of that to help this little channel grow. We'll be back tomorrow for a Friday. It's been kind of a quiet July, Ted, surprisingly. So we'll be back. Hasta mañana, everybody. Thanks for being here. See you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Au revoir.
Bye.